Like the Model T, the Citroen company's first car was straightforward and simple. Introduced in 1919, the Type A was Europe's first mass-produced automobile. At half the price of the competition, it was also the first inexpensive French car to be sold as standard with basic accessories, spare tire, bonnet, and with an electric starter and lights. Its 1.3-litre four-cylinder engine could maintain a respectable 40 miles an hour and got excellent gas mileage, 38 miles to the gallon. Citroen produced coupe and torpedo body versions of the Type A and a light truck that carried a 650-pound payload on the same chassis. Two years later, Citroën replaced the Type A with a more powerful B2.
This is a B2 which came out in 1921. The spare wheel is in back, whereas previously it had been on the side. The bonnet slopes down more steeply and has ventilation louvers on the sides.
The B2 also had a larger engine than the Type A, which gave it a top speed of 45 miles an hour. It was later equipped with this saloon body. The speed and reliability of the B2 made it a favorite among physicians and earned it the nickname Coupe Docteur. The B2 was also the basis for Europe's first sports car developed from a production model. The Caddy was a lighter, more powerful version of the B2. It had the same 1.4-litre engine block as the base model, but the light alloy pistons gave it more power and a top speed of 56 miles an hour. In 1922, Citroën announced a new, smaller car, the 5CV, CV for chevaux, meaning horses, and a reference to the taxable portion of the car's horsepower. Offered in two-seat and later three-seat cloverleaf configurations, most 5CVs were painted yellow, which soon gave rise to the nickname Petit Citron, the Little Lemon. With a tiny 850cc engine, the 5CV was not exactly a powerhouse. It was capable only of 36 miles an hour, and once it was going, it proved difficult to stop. But the Petit Citroen was so reliable and economical that it sold like lemonade, particularly amongst women, making it Europe's first car for Madame.
When he stated that he intended to build 100 cars a day, many detractors said it was impossible. By 1924, he was making 300. 300 a day.
The sharply climbing popularity of Citroën's cars was due to André Citroën's genius for marketing, as much as the quality of the cars themselves. The company pioneered discount and credit sales. Repayment plans extending over 12 to 18 months helped to spread motor mania across France. André Citroën also became an adept exponent of the publicity stunt. In 1922, a group of 5 half-track B2s became the first cars to cross the Sahara Desert. Over the next 10 years, there were 2 more transcontinental crossings using Citroën half-tracks. Croisière Noire, or Black Cruise, in the mid-1920s traversed Africa from north to south. 16 men and 8 Citroën half-tracks struggled for 6 months to cross more than 12,000 miles of Central Africa. Citroën later mounted an even more hazardous expedition, the Yellow Cruise across Asia in the early 30s. 40 men and 14 half-tracks trekked from Beirut over the Himalayas, across the Gobi Desert, and through China in the middle of a revolution. The success of the 7,400-mile journey helped cement Citroën's reputation for making cars that were rugged and reliable, as well as technically sophisticated. Citroën worked hard to keep his name always in the mind of the French car-buying public. At the opening of the 1922 Paris Motor Show, Citroen had his name skywritten 3 miles long over the city. And he contributed more than 150,000 road signs mounted all over the country, each bearing his name. But perhaps his most famous billboard was the Eiffel Tower. 250,000 electric light bulbs illuminated the Citroen name in letters 30 yards high for 9 years, starting in 1925. The aviator Charles Lindbergh used the gigantic sign as the final landmark on his famed 1927 transatlantic flight. André Citroen threw a reception for Lindbergh at the Quai de Javel factory, attended by 6,000 workers. And Citroen solicited endorsements from other celebrities of the day, such as the American singer Josephine Baker, who demonstrated her facility with the precursor of today's commercial jingles.
La belle voiture, un Citroën avec son confort, plaisir d'amour, tu appelles on oublie la Citroën de toute la vie.
Citroen also took steps to ensure that the whole family knew his name, down to its youngest members. The result was a line of toy Citroen cars and the Citroenette, a children's pedal car model of the 5CV. The company even sponsored Citroenette races at seaside resorts, and later made an electrically powered version as well. By the mid-1920s, the Citroen company had begun to diversify its hold on the French automotive scene. It set up high-speed intercity bus routes and started its own taxi fleet. Along with Renault and Peugeot, Citroen was now one of the largest car makers in the country. But if André Citroen was to expand his company further, he knew that he'd have to take greater risks.